I wanted to also add this, kind of on the same day. When inspiration hits you or inspiration hits you, and it's just things that you come across in a timely manner. It's just you go through all these things, and it's like I don't know. I feel like for me, I have this astrological filter, and so it's useful because it has helped me so much because of these experiences. It's almost like I'm tying between experience experience, back and forth with, physical life, this form and all that stuff in astrology. This is how astrology has helped me so much. One simple example is like today, I literally ran into or came across this post. I don't know if you guys know Lewis House. He talks about how you need to separate your worth from your wallet. So, in other words, if you're never broke, you're never going to be able to face the tough questions. He says here, exposes your money stories. Scarcity doesn't create fear. It reveals your beliefs about it, which is actually very interesting in terms of bringing to the conscious, actually into the superconscious, where it ties in with astrology. If you've been doing astrology for a while, you notice that so if you learn about, let's say, the second house is tied to worth value, what we put value into, and tying this to Teal Swan stuff, she talks about how value is rooted in, or it's directly connected to our needs. So if our needs are this, we will value it the same way. So for example, if my needs are about belonging, then what I value will correlate directly with that, if that makes sense, right? So, for example, like for me, I um, my needs often come from being able to relate with people in a very intense, or I wouldn't say intense, but very cathartic, but real, genuine level. And so, if I don't meet that, what happens is that my values will change depending on who I'm with. So it's also tied to, this is also represented by Venus in astrology. It's tied to the second house, which actually Venus rules the second house, which rules Taurus. Taurus is much like that too. So Taurians, for example, will like to most likely want to keep things in the bank. So that way they kind of feel like it's a safety sort of thing, right? It's also tied to Cancer. So what's happening here is that if you look at it from the zodiacal wheel, that kind of what I did in the previous video, if you look at Taurus that comes first in that second house, you see that when we're children, we learn to value things because it's like, oh, this is what I needed for security. So I actually, whatever I tasted, whatever I put in my mouth, whatever I touch, whatever I start to possess, this is also the second house possessions. Possessions are tied to values, and possessions often represent a very earthly, that's very Taurus, it's very earthly, a very earthly, you can say ego attachment to that. Ego is just a filter. It's not good or bad, right? So it's this label we have as humans. We need to integrate everything and learn from the fact that when it comes to these things, Lewis House was talking about how when we're losing things or when we broke, it's starting to look for me. I feel that right now. This is my last week of work and it's quite heavy. It's been weighing heavy. In fact, it's been weighing heavy, so heavy that my shoulders hurt. Which actually, ironically, it's tied to Taurus as well. You see how it's ironic? It's like there's a connection there. It's like, whoa, wow, right? So, and it's actually tied to the shadow of Taurus, which is found in the eighth house, ruled by Scorpio, right? Rules technically also ruled by Mars, but traditionally, but also ruled by Pluto. So what's happening here is that when you go into the shadow and what that validates for us, what we see as value, for me, I see it as like my beliefs around money or my bank is that I need to feel secure because otherwise I have fears about, you know, not being able to, survive. And survive means like I haven't really when the pandemic came, or when things like these happen, I've always valued, not kind of, I've always valued being able to live authentically, at least what I expected of others. So this is tied to the second eighth house. I was like going into the whole like the second house represents the resources that we the resources, sorry about that. The resources the love we what is it? The love we get as a child, or the love we get. Um, and the resources, how we share that, or how, so resources we get, really, that's the second house. This eighth house, it's opposite. So shadow house, shadow sign, also to the signs, is the resources we share. Once we start to trust others, we start to go like, this is why the eighth house is tied to taboo, death, death as in like death of things like endings or losses, trauma. So when we experience that stuff, we have to integrate that and stuff in terms of like, what does that mean? Which is actually funny because the second house is typically what you call like sextile to the fourth house, which is also about security, your home. It's your possession, like immovable possessions is the fourth house, which is second house is movable possessions. So in its opposite shadow houses, the eighth house and the 10th house represents um, uh, movable. So the eighth house would technically be kind of like, in a way, movable resources or movable values, if that makes sense. And then immovable security is the 10th house because it's their status. It's sort of like more like an inner sort of thing. Our core beliefs, which is tied to the fourth house, is tied to this. And the sextile placement aspect means that the sextile shows that if we work on it, it'll come naturally. This earth water sort of feel. So I'm just saying, use that example, but there's a representation of these placements, why they totally make sense, why astrology has been around for more than 3,000 years, probably more. All right, so it totally makes sense to me. So the thing that I'm seeing in this video is that there's a post by Lewis House is like, it forces skill building, which is so fourth house, right? It says you can't buy confidence, can't buy competence. Skills create income. So it's skill building as well. That is so the second house, but it's more of a figurative thing, which is so cathartic. It's represented by the eighth house as well. Same thing with the fourth house. When you build things, so you do things, you know yourself a little bit more. This is the core values or core beliefs also found in the fourth house, because this is your inner self. This is nadir. Saying being broke isn't a failure, it's preparation. When we know about these things, this is tied actually to the third house, which is knowing about these things. But we have to experience it. We have to learn the lessons. This is lessons in the third house. So you see what I mean? So I love how this is all kind of connecting. And I love that it's just happening all timely and timeliness of it all. So I hope that kind of gives you an insight into how it is. The more you get to know the parts of astrology, it's basically the same thing as saying the more you get to know yourself, or the more you get to know yourself, how you are in alignment with everything else. That's what astrology represents. We all have the sun in us. We all have the moon in us. We all have Mars. We all have Venus. We all have Pluto. We all have Saturn. We all have all these things as aspects of our psyche. They're just represented in different ways based on the experiences we've chosen in this life. So, right, we all have eyes. We all have ears. We all have foreheads, hair. We all have clothes. We all have skin. We all have hair. Whatever it is, to a certain degree, however long, however short, however, whatever color it is, doesn't matter. So it's a beautiful thing. So I just thought I'd share this. See you guys later. Bye. By the way, I wanted to add that I'm offering astrology classes starting in February. It might be a little last minute, but they're quite low in prices. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to post in the link below the website. I'll be posting my website, the link itself, on what I'm offering. So if you need some guidance, if you need guidance and support on how to work through astrology, I know that I don't showcase a lot of that stuff, but the way I see it is when it comes to doing astrology, I have what I call like basically cheat sheets. And what you do is basically you can create your own cheat sheet actually, but mine's quite a lot. So not a lot of cheat sheets per se, but there is a way to go about it where you get to use it right away. So you would actually go into the reading right away and then connect it directly with yours, but making use of the vocabulary, the lingo, concepts, lexicon, whatever. The point is not to study it. The point is to go into it, experience it right away through your own experience. It's kind of like your reverse engineering learning. So, which I know has helped a lot of people because I just guide you through it. But if you do need any more guidance, want support, I'll be there for you through my classes. I'm offering them once a month. Well, once a month, not once a month. Sorry. There'll be either 4 times a week, 4 times a month, double that, so 8 times a month, or double that, 16 times a month. So the prices will vary. And so I will be posting the link below. If you have any questions about that, message in the comments down below. Also, let me know. I will also I'll try to figure out a way for you to contact me directly. Contact me on social media, so Instagram, and then message me privately if you have any questions about it. I will take different payments, but that's just how it is. So we'll see how it goes. I'll be offering these continuously, so that way people get a chance to actually apply astrology. So I want to make use of my teaching experience, my teaching background as a teacher to help you out. But in this case, I'm not really teaching you per se. I am, but it's more like I'm guiding you, because this is your class. This is your chance to learn about yourself, be able to also help others through the gift of astrology. So I hope that will help. Looking forward to getting any comments from you. I'll see you guys later. Bye.